All right, for our second segment here of Corn-Fed Sports in the Morning, we have an interview segment we're doing here. We're lucky enough to be joined by one of the Nebraska women's tennis players. We got Maggy Lehmicke here in our studio, so thanks for joining us.
Thank you. No, it was great.
Yeah, so we're just going to do a little quick interview. Like I said, we're going to try and have as many guests, as many Husker athletes in here for Corn-Fed Sports in the Morning, so get used to seeing people besides just our Corn-Fed Sports people talk in front of the camera. So we'll jump right in. Let's go into some tennis-type questions first, and we'll have some more fun later on. So first of all, obviously the top 10 win, you guys jump up to number 6, a lot of momentum heading your way. Just what's the energy like in practice around the team after a big weekend like you guys had?
I think, we're all obviously really excited when the new rankings came out. Everyone was posting on Facebook. It was a huge deal. I think more than anything, it's just about keeping that momentum and knowing that people are watching now. People know that, we're being recognized, and that just kind of makes us, we still have to keep our energy and everything. So
definitely, and when I looked at it, the first thing I see, obviously you see Michigan still up there. You guys still have that coming up. I just, you think of how much you can keep going. I bet is that probably how you guys see it, is what you can keep doing, not just happy with where you're at.
Yeah, we definitely have on mind the other big Big Ten matches that are coming up, and I think that's obviously key for us. But more than anything, it's about all the other matches. We can't have a letdown. We can't let anyone just take anyone lightly. That's the biggest thing, I think, and our coaches have talked to us about that and how there's a difference between confidence and overconfidence or arrogance, and 6th in the country in the end does not mean all that much.
Definitely. And, for this next one, I'm going to, build the scene a little bit for those who weren't there. I know it was a snowy day on Sunday, so not many people had the opportunity to come out. But, in that final set, your match, that for people who weren't there, both the teams were lined up, in their little lines on the courts watching. Yeah. And even when you guys switched sides, they kind of switched in mechanized order, and everybody's gathered around. And, it was an intense atmosphere. The doubles point was intense. Everything was intense. And, on your court as well as on the number 2 court towards the end there, people were getting intense, and they were cheering. And Northwestern was a little bit more vocal than the Huskers. The Huskers were a little more reserved. But, in that kind of atmosphere, when they're getting into it, when you're getting into it, and everything's just that tense, how good is that feeling when match point goes and you just know that you came through in that setting?
When I won, it was exhilarating and possibly the biggest relief of my life. But I think in the moment you just can't think about that. You have to take it point by point, and I was stressed out, but having my teammates there on the sidelines and originally knowing that it rested on my shoulders was really scary, but then when I did come through with it, it was the best feeling. Yeah, and I knew I'd never have another opportunity like that.
Because in a lot of settings you don't really know what's going on, but when everybody's around you, when you know that they're still watching you, it's pretty easy to tell.
And it was my biggest fear originally, but then after I was put in that situation and I saw that, Patty didn't pull hers out, I was like, this is it. This is your time to clamp down. You got this. And it just was a little bit change mindset, I guess. So.
And, building off that, do you think people underestimate the level of, everybody talks on every level of tennis about gamesmanship and back and forth. Even, when it's on international TV, you see people kind of going back and forth. But when you're up close and personal, especially with, 2 teams as good as you guys were, you kind of have you appreciate that a little bit more. Do you think that people don't get how intense it can be and how, in the moment tennis can be?
I think a lot of people kind of underestimate the mental side of the sport. I've heard from a lot of different people that tennis is, 90% mental and then 10% everything else. So that I think is true, but it's also very, you got to be in very good shape. And so I definitely think it's underestimated in a lot of ways. But in those kind of moments, you realize just how intense it can get.
Mm-hmm. And I pointed this out and talked about it earlier, and I'll say it again, that one of my favorite moments from the match was, and obviously you were playing at the time, but when Janine wins 6-1 in her first set, she just didn't cheer at that, but she stared her opponent down, and it was just the best moment of the match. Then it comes tiebreaker, and that she was shook, and the other girl was shook, and she couldn't live up to it, and she wins 10-8 in the tiebreaker, and I don't think that that's a coincidence, that you kind of have that attitude, and you impose it on your will on your opponent, and then it comes to a tiebreak, and you're able to edge it. I think that's when you kind of see that we're through, so that was fun to see.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, so we'll move on here to the last of the tennis questions, and it's about your guys' number 1, obviously. Whenever you get to that high, top 20 in the country, it's something we're talking about. Mary Weatherholt's a senior for the team, for those of you who don't know. And the thing that I was most impressed with, and this is obviously the first time I've seen her in a while, I covered the team a couple years ago. For those of you who don't know, obviously nobody probably keeps up with me. But, you go out there and you win, obviously, doubles top 10 doubles upset. And then she comes out and she wins 6-2 in the first set and then wins 6-love in the second set. I mean, you can just kick back and put it on cruise control in that second set. But do you think that's a reflection of Mary's work ethic from what you guys see on a day-to-day basis, that she's not just going to settle in that second set of that singles?
I mean, it's definitely her work ethic, but it's also the person she is. Like, she's a very, very, like, high-energy person, and she puts it all out there, and her demeanor on the court is really positive, and you never see her get angry with herself. You know, she makes an error, she laughs it off, that's it. And I think that she really, you know, sets the stage for everyone else, like us freshmen who are coming in, even all the players on the team, you know. It doesn't matter how old you are or that. It's just, she's just a great person and really good example for
And one of the things I really picked up too is that, you know, like even late in the match, that if somebody's sitting on the line on a serve, she's still going up the tee, she's still dialed in, she still sees the line and sees that they're giving her the line, but she still wants to put it right on the line. I mean, do those little mental things,
does that
level of focus kind of trickle down to you guys, that you see somebody who's that dedicated to just making the right swing every single time? I mean, does that help you younger guys kind of learn from that?
For sure. I mean, unfortunately, because I'm playing a lot, you know, I don't get that much time to watch her.
Well, I mean, in practice and just everything.
Yeah, no, in practice it's definitely, I feel like everyone has that same, like, intensity in practice. But I think, definitely Mary's, like, lack of fear when she competes is really impressive, and I think really just, you know, everyone can really follow her in that.
Definitely. I think that, you know, when you mentioned just the competing level, I think you saw that across the board. I mean, not just Mary, and, you know, I don't want to make it sound like Mary's the only one who goes out there and does this kind of thing, because it is across the board. But yeah, just putting it out there. No. All right, now we'll get to some of the more fun things. I'll combine these into two just because I think they go a lot along with each other. That, you know, obviously you guys have a lot of international flair, and there's a lot of people that, you know, are different from people you've grown up around. Then you combine that with the fact that, you know, some of the Olympic sports, some of the other Husker sports, the road trips I think are more interesting than, you know, football. They get chartered planes, it's there and back. But you guys get to spend a lot of time on the road. You get to be out there with each other. What's that like, just being out there with the cast of characters you get?
Yeah, cast of characters, that's the perfect word for what we are, really. No, we joke about it a lot. We wonder, like, if people would hear some of the things we say and see the things we do, it would be interesting. But no, I love my team. Like, I love every single person on my team. And it's true, like, we do have, you know, several international girls, and I think that really, you know, it does add, like, diversity, but, like, all the different personalities and the way we get along is just kind of surprising to me. And I grew up, you know, in an atmosphere. I went to a couple different tennis academies, and I've been around, like, people from all over the world, but I think it was kind of refreshing for me to not just have all Americans, you know?
Definitely.
So I really like it, and definitely the bus rides and those kind of things are definitely interesting, and we all, like, goof off, but it's just, you know, in the end, we're like sisters, so.
Definitely, and I think that, you know, this is my little soapbox moment here, but I think that when I hear people that talk about, they just get foreign tennis players and it's just a Title IX and all that kind of stuff, I think they underestimate how much it means to the individuals and how much it means to, you know, a sport like tennis. The international culture is unrivaled in a lot of sports, and so I think that they don't understand that just bringing them in here and giving people scholarships and giving them an opportunity to come to the United States and compete in the NCAA, it makes friendships, it makes relationships that, you know, I've seen, you know, in my experience, and it was a women's basketball thing, but I've seen people from different countries work in jobs and different internationally, and it doesn't just affect you on the court. That, you know, it's a unique situation. Do you think that that's kind of the same way that the international flair kind of adds to the afterlife?
I agree, like, 100%. For me, when I was looking at schools, I know a lot of people would be like, oh, you know, that's too bad. They have a lot of foreigners, like several different schools. And I was like, that's what I was looking for, kind of. You know, I liked all my, like, good friends at the tennis academies were all from other countries. And I think it's just, you learn things from each other. And it's really just kind of interesting how you can, like, push each other and, like, get out of your comfort zone a little bit. And I mean, some of my closest friends are from Europe and everywhere, so.
Definitely. So we'll wrap it up here with one more lighthearted type question. I had the honor of getting to go in and make the Husker Harlem Shake, the non-football, the non-basketball, the one with all the, you know, the tennis players and some of those people. So, and I've seen it before that, obviously, but I think people underestimate how, you know, women's gymnastics, men's tennis, women's tennis, those sports in the background, it's not just about your team, that the athletics community and the Hewitt and the, you know, that environment in there. I mean, do you think people would be interested to see kind of that inside look of how the athletic community as a whole outside of the main sports comes together?
For sure. That's kind of why I wanted to participate in the Harlem Shake, because as much as we don't all know each other because it's so big, you know? It's hard to know every single person, but I definitely feel this, like, community, like, atmosphere all the time, and, like, that's what I love about Nebraska is it's hard to find a whole athletic department that feels so much like family, you know, in other places, and so yeah, that's what's fun for me too.
Definitely, and I think that people don't see it as another student organization, as another student group that brings people together. But a lot of your time isn't spent on the court, isn't spent in practice. It's studying, it's in the computer lab, it's working on things and finding who you have classes with. So definitely. I think that people underestimate how much athletes kind of interact there. So I'm glad you were able to shed some insight there for us. Well, that does it for our segment here. Thanks for joining us.
No, thank
Women's
you,
tennis team staying in action. They got some more home meets. Hopefully, the sun will come out and we can come to the Vine Street courts and have another. But if not, the Nebraska Tennis Center. Hopefully next time we won't have scary snow sliding off
blizzards.
the roof. And
that's no fun.
I thought the whole place might have come down at some point. And I'm sneaking along those little tunnels. And I thought I was going to get knocked out. But they'll be back in action. Hopefully they'll stay in the top 10 the rest of the year. I don't want to jinx them and put any weird promises out there. But
no, we're doing it.
Yeah. And I forgot to mention it throughout this. Coming off a record-setting year last year. Again, obviously going for a record this year. They're 15-1 on the year. Is it 15 or 16? I think it's 15-1. I forgot.
15-1.
Yeah, 15-1 coming in. So they're still undefeated in the Big Ten. They got a lot of Big Ten matches coming up. A couple on the week next week in San Diego, and then all Big Ten the rest of the way home. So stay tuned for Corn-Fed Sports for more coverage from the women's tennis team, and hopefully we can get some of the international flair in here for the office and get one from in there. So thanks for joining us, and come back after this. We'll have some more Corn-Fed Sports in the morning.